Hi, this is Paul from Outerloop Coaching and Outerloopcoaching.com. I'm with you with a great one today. I want to talk about the top 7 reasons you can't get signed and how to fix them. Now, first of all, I want to let you know that I've got a free PDF. It's right over my shoulder here. Click the link and you can get a very specific strategy that you can follow on how you can get signed and get signed quickly. But today, let's talk about just the reasons that you're not getting signed rather than talking about the overall strategy. The number one reason you can't get signed is because you look like a local band. Again, you look like a local band. Now, every once in a while, a band slips through where it just doesn't matter, but a lot of the time, whether it's because of the just general appearance of the band, the people in the band, or because of the way the photographs are looking, or the graphics that are used, the album art, stuff like that, if it looks cheap, if it looks bad, if it looks just like a local band, it's not going to get picked up. It makes a very bad first impression, even on people inside the industry who've been looking at bands for decades. So do this. First of all, if you can, work with people inside your community, inside your network, who can help you look better. Now, for appearances, that can mean like getting somebody to do your hair. It can mean getting a little bit of makeup done, wearing masks, or whatever it takes to make you look so you don't look like a local band. It might be what you're wearing. And if you're going to try to stay legit and you just want to just be who you are, which is totally fine, then take a moment to make sure that everything else looks as professional as possible. Make sure that your graphics look really great. Make sure your photographs look really great. If you're going to look normal in your photo, that's fine, but make sure that the photo itself looks absolutely pro. So, again, reach out to people inside your network and inside your community. Look out for artists, people who do visual art and can bring in another whole layer, a whole new level to what you're doing and really do something unique and powerful and attractive. Find those people out and get them involved in what you're doing. Build something as a collective if you need to in order to make really great videos for YouTube, make really great photos, and especially really great graphics for your art. Make sure your logo looks amazing, looks professional. So don't cheap it out. If you need to invest, invest. Better way to do it is to get really talented people involved who will want to get involved with you and perhaps do it as a trade or something like that. Okay, the second thing that reason you can't get signed is that you sound like a local band. Sometimes this is your songwriting, oftentimes it's songwriting, in which case work with a producer, work with a great songwriter as a collaboration and learn from them. Do it often if you even have the ability to do so. It can also come from the way you sound, from the way that your stuff is being produced. So work with a really good studio. Again, a good producer can pull out a really, really good sound out of you. A great engineer can make sure that everything is mic'd the way it needs to be so that it looks really, really pro. And here's a little extra tip. If you don't have those resources available, then just put a little side description in anything you release to say that it's a mixtape or it's a demo or something like that, so people know, okay, this doesn't sound as awesome, as professional as it should. These guys are just putting stuff out just to put something out, and they'll cut you slack. And that is super, super important. Use that as a strength, and then you can go into a real studio and record the song professionally later on if necessary. But if you can put out something that's professional sounding, even if it's just a single song, that is so much better than an album's worth of stuff that just sounds local. All right, third reason, you don't have a fan base. This is one of the toughest things that artists struggle with, right? You've got less than 1,000 listens on Spotify. You've got, just 100 followers on Facebook, that sort of thing. That looks, to somebody who's doing research to try to find out whether you're somebody worth signing or not, you look like a risk. And when you're a risk, you are less likely to get signed. When you are less of a risk because you've got hundreds of thousands of followers, you've got 1 million streams, that sort of thing. When you're less of a risk, that's when not only will you're going to be more likely to get signed, but you're also likely to have more leverage at the negotiation table, and that's going to mean more money and more freedom for you. And so you want to work towards that. So what can you do to grow your fan base? You got to work at it every single day. Making sure that all your graphics and everything about you, your bio, stuff like that, your EPK looks really fantastic is part of it, but also it's the muscle of making sure that you're reaching out on your socials and being engaged with people, getting people engaged, asking for likes and follows, asking for shares, trying to get people to follow you, to hear you, and finding ways to reach out on public message boards, that sort of thing, to attract people to listen to you and become fans of you. And Spotify is just an awesome tool for this, because what Spotify can do is when you can get on a handful of playlists, the algorithm that Spotify has will start to then add you to more and more playlists so that more and more people are going to hear you. And it will be people who are listening to the artists that are on the playlist that you're being added to. So work all the time to reaching out to playlist curators to get your songs added to their playlist. There's a whole strategy for this, and I'll try to go into some more of this in a future video, but it's a great way to grow your fan base. Make sure you get heard, make sure people are reading about you, and there's tons of videos like this one over my head right now that'll tell you how to do stuff like that in order to grow your fan base. Just work at it every day and share the load with everybody else in your band. All right, so we're up to number 3. So now number 4, you don't know anyone in the industry. This can be a problem too. Part of the way, one of the major ways that a lot of labels sign is through referrals. And if you don't know anybody, especially if you're not based in New York, you're not based in LA, you're not based in London, it can be really, really tough to make those connections that eventually will refer you when you are ready to the people that they know who are signing artists. Now, how do you make those happen? Well, always great to try to get yourself an opening slot when a band is on tour and try to make some sort of connection with that band so that they'll listen to you, hear you, hopefully like you, and develop a relationship that way. Another way to do it is to make sure that you are networking within your local music industry. So that means especially promoters in your town. Make sure you're making connections with them. They talk to booking agents, and promoters and booking agents will talk to labels, and labels talk to talk to the booking agents, and before you know it, people are talking about you, and that's what you really, really need. So reach out. One of my favorite tips from Mike Mowry is to reach out to artists, labels, etc., who are just 1 rung or 2 rungs above where you are, and you will be able to make those connections easier than trying to, like, make a relationship with the president of Atlantic Records. It's just not going to happen. Don't waste your time. But if you can make connections, and eventually you work your way up, and then those sorts of relationships are what is going to be possible for you. So number 5, you suck live. This happens all the time, especially with I gotta say, with electronic artists. As much as I love electronic dance music, the live performances just by and far are absolutely boring. So how do you make your performances more interesting? If you suck live, people won't want to come back and see you. If they love your songs and you're the kind of band where all you got to do is sing your song and sing it really, and people want to sing along, and that sort of bonding experience happens, that means that you don't suck live, right? So you don't need to be the kind of band that is prancing around the stage on costumes and all the rest of it. But if you're not making that kind of connection with your audience, then you might need to find new ways to make your show more interesting and more entertaining. Remember, the live show is a place of entertainment. People go to be entertained. Make sure your live show is entertaining. Another great way to do that is inside your gig space, get some big old mirrors. Usually you can find them like behind department stores and things like that. They'll throw out broken mirrors. That just throw a bunch of them up in your gig space and be looking into those mirrors every once in a while you're jamming, just like, okay guys, we're going to put on a show now with this performance. Let's try a song and just make sure that we don't suck. To look at, if you stare at each other and stare at your shoes all the time when you get onto a stage, those habits will be tough to break. So keep your live show in mind even when you're rehearsing. All right, number 6, you don't play out enough, right? This happens a lot too. So it adds to that idea of you suck live, right? If you don't practice by getting out in front of audiences often enough, then, you know, you can still suck. You won't even know if you're any good because you don't do it often enough. So if you get out and you play live, one of the main objections that a lot of labels will have about why they won't sign an artist is there's no touring history, there's no gigging history, there's no history of people paying to see you perform. Now you need to develop that. Now how do you do that? You build yourself a network. I've got a link over my head with an awesome resource, the best resource I've ever come across with an exact strategy on how to get more gigs. It's right over my head. Be sure to check it out. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that because that resource is going to be better than anything I'm going to say to you right now. Number 7, the last one I've got for you is your front person doesn't have charisma. Now, let me define charisma first. Charisma isn't just that you're liked, right? Charisma in this context is about having somebody who, when they walk into the room, heads turn. Like it's an energy. It's almost something that you can't put your finger on. It's a star power, sometimes what it's referred to as. A lot of that comes from having a lot of confidence, but sometimes it's just really, really intangible. It's hard to develop, but it's possible. So if you're the front person of your band, or if you have a front person and they don't yet have that charisma, have them practicing by looking into a camera while they're performing. This is a great way to do it. Practice looking at yourself while you're watching yourself perform. How do you sing? How do you look while you're singing? Or look while you're playing guitar? Or watch yourself and find ways to draw people in. Charisma comes in all sorts of forms. There's some artists who spent their entire 45-minute set with their back to the audience, and the audience is just absolutely enthralled because it's just amazing. And that is super rare, but it happens. It is charisma. So you just need to develop it. You need to practice it by just gaining confidence in what you're doing. Be confident in what you're doing. Get used to being in front of people in social situations and as a performer, and practice looking at yourself and finding ways that you can change the way that you appear to others in order to draw people in. Get that charisma. So that's it. That's the 7 reasons you are not getting signed and how to fix them. I hope this was helpful. Again, don't down below, first of all, I've got the link for a free PDF on a strategy on how to get yourself signed. Please, you've come this far. Hit with a comment down below. Let me know what you're doing, an objection that you've ever heard from a label that I didn't address here, or if there's something that jumped out at you and something you're going to work on, put the comment down below. Hit the subscribe button, hit the alerts. You'll get a new video all the time. All right, this is Paul from Outerloop Coaching and outerloopcoaching.com, and I'll see you in the next video.